Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Thursday, May 21st, 2026. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of the Sunshine Cathedral for the Queer God Squad. Join me today and most days are Bishop Robert Griffin, Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, and Reverend Kevin Tisdall. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us.
Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Now to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community.
There is no streaming TV show like this in the entire world. In 2026, we are celebrating the 41st anniversary of Hotspots magazine, with Queer News Tonight sharing over 14,000 stories and 12 million views so far.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Faith leaders resist Christianity as political weapon. Clergy resisting Christian nationalism defend the very spirit of the Jesus way. Christian nationalism distorts the gospel, swiping the selfless love of Christ for a reprehensible pursuit of state power. It demands an idol of national identity, directly violating the first commandment. Jesus declared, quote, "My kingdom is not of this world," end quote, refusing the sword of empire. When the state co-opts Christ's name to marginalize the stranger and enforce supremacy, silence becomes complacent. Active resistance is therefore a sacred pastoral duty. By standing against this nationalism, the clergy protects the church's prophetic voice, ensuring that Christ remains a symbol of universal grace, liberation, and radical love, not a weapon of political domination. You know, this is one of those stories that reminds me of the power of the church. You know, we look back at in the social justice movement in the black churches as a kid growing up. It was a black church that was always advocating for justice, always advocating for liberation, and bringing all the other churches together. But now what we're up against, this Christian nationalism stuff, it makes you wonder, how can we continue to be on the forefront when it all seems so overwhelming, but yet there's still hope? And I think that as clergy, as churches, we must be on the square, on the political square, on the soapbox, any place we can be to say, this is what we're up against. Just name it for what it is, and find ways to continue to call out those who support it, call out those who are funding it, and say, but thus says the Lord. Yeah. And remind people that this is not the God way. This is not justice, love. This is not about justice. This is about your particular brand of Christian nationalism. And Christian nationalism, as we know it, is not about Christianity, right, as we celebrate it.
Never has been, never will be. This is just, to me, another level of the fear that that so many people in this country have, and that is that they are losing their power. And right now they have found a vehicle, an unbelievable vehicle to spread their fear. And I think that that is the core of Christian nationalism. We're afraid that you may discover that the power of love is what God is about. We're afraid that you're going to take something from us. So we're going to make this Jesus into, instead of someone that we want to walk with, someone that is an idol, is someone who is so far from who he was according to what we read. And somehow or another, they've got enough people to believe them right now, because I think that the Christian nationalists speak their language of fear. We're afraid we're going to lose. We're afraid you're going to take something from us. We're afraid that you are going to be as bad to us as we have been to you. And because of that, they are strong right now. But I'm with you, Bishop. We have hope. We believe in justice, love, and there is a way to bring people back to a better understanding of who they can be as decent human beings.
Right. They've co-opted Christian. Are you that kind of Christian, or are you a Jesus Christian? You know, as a follower of Jesus, we want to follow the gospel message. That's what we are called to do. And I think it's imperative that churches really need to speak out right now and say, hey, I am a Jesus Christian.
Yes.
That's who we are.
I'm asked a lot. I was asked on Sunday after the second service, if God is love, why does God allow so much BS in the world? And if we bear the Imago Dei, if we are made in the divine image, why do so many of us perpetuate meanness and cruelty and hatefulness? And it's a good question. I mean, it really is a good question. But people don't like the answer. Because to get to the answer, you have to re-examine your theology. And if God is anthropomorphic, if God is a person, especially a male person, if God is a person with defined boundaries like a body, floating on a cloud somewhere, or living in a golden city that no one can find, or sitting on a throne, or pulling strings and pressing buttons, calling people home at the end of life or whatever. If that's your God, and you're trying to make that God make sense, well, when you work that out, you tell me, because that doesn't make any sense. But that there is a power that is all power. If there's a presence that is omnipresent, if there is a power that is the power to be, it is the ground of being, it is that in which we live and move and have our being, then we're not talking about a person. We're not talking about Superman. We're not talking about we're not talking about Endora from Bewitched. We're not talking just about a person with a lot of power. We're talking about power flowing through a lot of persons. And that makes a difference. So now the question is, why do some of us use that power so irresponsibly? Why are some of us ignoring our goodness, or failing to see the goodness in others and treating them as if they're not part of this God thing, this God ocean? We're not all drops in the same one ocean made of the same thing. And so if you want to know why God allows it, you've got to rethink your God, and then you have to ask, why have I allowed it? Why have we allowed it?
You go.
Because we're the ones who voted for a thing or didn't vote at all, or the ones who perpetuated lies, or who supported financially or with volunteer effort mean things, or who supported nothing with anything, or who gave very little to a good thing when we could have given more. Or why did we do it? Why did we do it? And so the religion of Jesus is so radically different than the religion about Jesus. Because the religion about Jesus is just one more sort of Greek deity, just one more person, one more like God-man that has not only the power of a God, but all the foibles of a man. And so we're always going to run into trouble with that. But if Jesus is the example showing us what it means to wake up, to be woke, to wake up to the reality that we are part and parcel of this one divine reality, and then how we live from that and use that is our choice and our responsibility, and it's on us. Well, that changes the dynamic, and that changes the conversation, and that changes what we think we're even meant to be doing. So, yeah, you can say, oh, Jesus, militant Jesus, wants me to have guns and wants to have like a war. And so people always say, well, there's such a thing as just war. No. The just war theory came from Catholicism, from a very violent time in history. And even at that, the only way to be just is to be defense, not preemptive, not to be on the attack. But if they attack you, you can defend yourself. And the minute the war can be over, it must be over. And you can only hit military targets. And so to do the least amount of damage, to get it over with as soon as possible, to not be the one who started it. And that's what they're calling just war. And I've never seen such a war in my lifetime. And meanwhile, Jesus said, turn the other cheek. And Jesus didn't even offer a defense of himself when he was facing execution. So, I mean, I wouldn't ask anyone to be the level of pacifist Jesus was. But, he turned over the temples. Yeah, but I don't think he might have died.
No.
From his tantrum in the temple.
No.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that Christian nationalism has nothing to do with national integrity. because the nation is made up of all kinds of people, and Christian nationalists are really just white supremacists. And Christian is to be little Christ. And Christ is about peace and feeding the hungry and touching the untouchable and healing the sick and loving your neighbor and realizing that people you may not have liked before actually are your neighbors. So yeah, if Christian nationalism had a damn thing to do with Jesus, it wouldn't be so mean, it wouldn't be so ugly, it wouldn't be so hateful, it wouldn't be so violent. So yeah, so the clergy who are saying, I'm not going to support Christian nationalism, they're on the side of the angels.
You know, just that, you know, the clergy, and the question also comes is the church's role too. What is the church role in speaking out and calling out this along with the clergy? If you didn't get a chance to watch the May 10th sermon here at the Sunshine Cathedral, I highly encourage you to go back and watch that sermon, because it talks about what the church's role was, and it also calls out, you know, the confessing churches and how we can be a confessing church and stand our ground, if you will, to speak out against Christian nationalism and another thing. So clergy have the role, and the church has a role too. And so I think we have to keep those things in mind, that we all have a role in this.
Yes.
And what is your question, what is our role? What is the church's role?
Yeah.
And that's today with the Queer God Squad. Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about. Please like and share this and other episodes of the Queer God Squad. Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we're all in this together. Also remember, you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad.